Are we not just going to talk for a little bit so he gets...
Well, welcome.
Oh, no, I got it.
Okay,
I got it this time, yeah.
Welcome. I'm just kidding, Kyle. I knew the first time.
As you saw me prepping, like, all right, it's been a while. Keeps interrupting me. All right. Welcome to Tabletop Talk. We're your hosts, Kyle.
And Jeremy.
And we're being joined by Rick, Treven, and Christopher today. Today, we're actually deciding to flip the table. I know lately we've been talking a lot about ourselves. A few episodes ago, we talked about our problem behaviors. We, in the last episode, talked about what makes a good DM and what breaks a good campaign and such. Today, though, I figured we're going to talk a little more about what is it you're looking for in a player, or what sort of behaviors do you not appreciate from other players. So before we get into that, though, how was everybody's week?
It was great, albeit I missed the Aurora Borealis, and that made me very, very sad.
You and me both, man.
And then it would have been fine if phones didn't exist and I didn't know about it. It would have been great. But the fact that I woke up to picture after picture after picture of all of my family watching it, as the one who's early to bed, wakes up.
Didn't you tell me you had a vacation story that was almost the exact same thing?
It was just the last, not quite maybe a vacation story too. There are probably many out there, but it was another story of like the other time my family, when I was a kid, got to see the Aurora Borealis. And I was like, I don't remember that. And they told me, they're like, oh yeah, we couldn't get you out of bed, so we all went outside to watch it. No one carried me outside. No one, they just splashed water on me. It was like, oh, we can't get Jeremy out. Well, hey, come out here quick.
And that's why your bedtime is important to you.
You're welcome for posting pictures that I took then.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. I saw those too, and I was very, very happy for you. Happy for you, Rick. So anyway, that's how I am. It's been sunny and great, so I'm happy, okay?
It sounds like it.
Seeing this is Rick. Seeing the Aurora Borealis was life-changing. I'm just kidding. No, it was really cool. But no, the weather has been super, super great. I got to do a bunch of yard work.
Nice.
Which is good. We're doing some big landscape changing of our backyard, like taking out a whole bunch of sod, like enough that my fingers hurt, my shoulders hurt, my back hurts. But it's beginning to really take shape, and our house is going to look super cool over the summer as we have like our solo stove with a fire out in the back and music blaring and kids running around everywhere.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I just told you guys, but I just announced today that me and my wife are expecting our third child. Woo-hoo! So super excited about that. So,
congratulations, sir.
Thank you. So I have two little boys, so it'd be awesome to get a little girl, but we'll be happy either way. So pretty exciting.
There we go.
Exciting things.
There we go.
And it's me.
The rare and unheard of producer.
You're producer, not speaker. Yeah, so this is Chris. I had a pretty good week. Like everyone else said, the weather was fantastic. I got to catch the tail end of the Northern Lights when I went to work in the morning on Saturday. But
you can't see it, but Jeremy's tearing up a little bit.
I'm not tearing up. It's hot and I'm sweating.
This is the coldest day of the week, man.
I hate when it rains inside.
But yeah, that's got outside, played in the sprinkler and the slip and slide with the kids, and yeah, just had a good time.
Your kids, right?
No,
Well, on that note,
Brilliant.
I gave them back. It's fine.
I gave them back. Oh no.
That makes it so much worse because once you said that, I was picturing him just going to another property, like he's walking by and he's like, slip and slide. But then now it's like, no, it's his slip and slide. It's always his slip and slide. Forever Chris's slip and slide.
Slip and slide.
any PDs out there listening, Chris has kids. We swear he's not kidnapping kids to play on the slip and slide.
Yes, I have children. I play with them.
So I think we're gonna first go over to our first question here, and I'm curious, what to you is like a solid player, like someone you would want to play with? What are the attributes you look for in a fellow player?
Yeah, well, I will start us off. So to me, a good player is that's someone who realizes that the best part of the game is the collective experience of the group, and they're able to have fun whether they're in the spotlight or someone else's, and they're taking the time to boost everyone else up, and also big to me is having like a good sense of humor. Like you're gonna take all this time at the end of the day, it's just a game, to be able to have fun with it. It's super big, and then lastly, I think a player who commits to their character, which is something that I admittedly need to work on. But and by that I don't mean having like voice acting every single thing, but they have like this certain confidence that they are that character. And to me, when in the few games I've played, that's such a big difference when players are doing that, when they're they have confidence, they know what their character is, what they're like, and they really kind of stick with it.
Yeah, I think those are good traits.
I would agree with Treven on his the good of the experience. I would say one of my biggest green flags is somebody who's willing to let the good of the party shine more than anything else. I don't well, that's the second part of the red flags, but somebody who's willing to explore and learn, and is not overly obsessed with needing to know or do everything.
Yeah.
Because part of D&D is doing it all together and knowing that there are roles to play, and certain characters shine in this part and other characters don't. So knowing the good of the party, I think, is a huge piece to being a good
and I think the
player.
sense of humor thing was a good thing, because Jeremy is naturally good at this. He talks about this actually quite a bit. We haven't gotten to it much on the podcast, but he loves when his characters roll bad, because he thinks that it's the funniest thing, and he rolls with the good and the bad. Jeremy does a good job of having a good sense of humor and realizing the dice may not tell the tale you want to tell.
Gosh, it was... Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about one of Kyle's final boss battles with me, with the party. But it's so funny. Kyle got to the point where he was like, Jeremy, I feel like your character in every boss battle has the worst rolls possible that you could have. And I just thought it was so funny. It was really bad at the same time, because I was like, I try to hit, and I was a monk at the time. So I was like, I try to hit this time. You're like, miss. I try to hit that time. Miss. I try to hit this time. Miss. Fumble. Miss. And it's like, Kyle.
Key point for 5 more attacks.
And I hear Kyle's gigantic metal die that's like, do, 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 do. And it's like, I was like, that was good. And then the light up one where I could see the crit lighting up.
That was my bad.
It was so funny.
We were playing online, and so I didn't think about the fact that Jeremy was playing with me, and I'm rolling this cool light up die that I got, but it only lights up when you roll a nat 20.
Yeah.
I rolled 6 nat 20s that game, and every time, all of a sudden, my face starts lighting up from the other side of the table, and Jeremy is just clearly tried to pretend he doesn't see it. No.
Yeah, but I did. And it was, again, a sense of humor is fun, because it was really frustrating, of course, to have your player go down in 3 rounds without being able to get a single hit. But that's also so funny for a character who's based his whole life around martial arts.
Right. Well, and it can be definitely hard when, you designed your character for said roll, like, and you just keep rolling awful, and you're the rogue, and you're trying to pick a lock, and every time you cannot break a 5, even with your bonus.
Yeah.
And all it's funny. It's funny
Yeah.
to most of us, but it's very irritating at the same time for a person. So you have to learn to laugh it off a little.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you guys.
What
And I'm-
about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go off a little bit off of what you guys have already said, and my two are really simple. It's just that I want a player who wants to participate and works well with a team, and I think those are really simple because if the person wants to be there, they're going to be more engaged. They're not going to be checked out. And if the person is going to work well with a team, yeah, they're going to be able to laugh at themselves sometimes, but they're going to leave space for others. They're going to be listening, and they're going to be like, oh, hey, what do you think about this idea? Instead of, just Leroy Jenkins,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Legend.
We all love a Leroy moment.
I love to
But-
watch it, not in my party.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so those are mine.
What about you, Rick?
Like I said, I definitely agree with the betterment of the party kind of taking precedent. But I think a good player is ready to explore and learn. I almost lean towards new players.
Yeah.
Because they don't have this precedent or prejudice over what previous campaigns or the way that they've always played is it's very rich and raw to where you're just experiencing it all and everything is fantastic. It's like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome no matter what happens. I rolled a 1 when I really needed to at least just make contact. Oh well, that's cool. I'm playing D&D. This is really neat. I like the wonderment of somebody who's kind of more experiencing it for the first time and you're not bogged down by
Yeah.
seasons of playing and expectations of
Well,
what you want
it's
it to
kind of
be.
like what we were talking about last episode. I don't remember if it was Jeremy or you who mentioned it, but someone mentioned that basically there's 3 periods of a Dungeon and Dragons player. You have the newbie who's still fresh to the game, and so they're usually pretty easy to get along with. They are usually friendly, trying to figure out how to play. Then you have the moment where people think they finally get it, and they kind of become that arrogant in between, like what you were just referring to, where it's they start going, well, no, I know what's best. I understand this and all. And then you hit the people who've been playing long enough, they got past that phase and are now back to I'm just here to have a good time. I've realized the rules, no matter how hard I tried to get them, that's not really the point of the game.
Yeah, for anyone, I just thought of this right now, but for anyone who played sports growing up and then now plays in an adult rec league, an adult rec league is meant to most of them are meant to just you show up and you're having fun, right? You're playing softball, trying not to tear your ACL rounding first, you're playing soccer, hoping that no one's going to slide tackle you from behind and you have to miss weeks off of work, right? You're I just want to run around and have fun. But there's always those players who are super crazy serious, taking it like they're still playing in college or they're a professional and they're complaining. And so that's what it is. We're no, I'm here to have fun. This is rec league sports for me. It's place where I just want to be with my friends and play.
Yeah, yeah.
You nailed it. You just brought back memories of playing basketball at 24-hour fitness. Man, you get some people who, they missed out on their college glory days, and they're taking it out.
Gosh, nothing like taking an elbow from a 6'5", 42-year-old who still thinks it's the NBA, and you're hey man, I just want to get a rebound.
Peaked in high school is just a contagious disease that once you contract won't go away.
It's true.
I played on a softball team after high school, and they took it so seriously. I wanted to come here and scratch that baseball itch, sort of things. That's what I grew up playing, and they took it so seriously. And I'm I'm not having fun because if I swing at a pitch that I wasn't supposed to, I'm getting my butt chewed out. So,
All right. I just realized, sorry, I was bewildered because everyone was using all these terms I'm not used to. Sports and teamwork. going back to the question, Chris, did you want to contribute a few answers to what do you think makes a good player? I know you've played a few times here and there,
Right.
but I know you've got a few stories on what you feel are good and bad qualities of each game.
Yes. So for coming from a newer player's perspective, a player who's still developing and learning the game, I always look for the people who are knowledgeable about the game. They have experience, and those most that I've played with are good ones I can lean on if I have any questions or what have you. So, but I also like those players to, they allow the newer players to just kind of figure it out on their own instead of holding their hand through the whole thing. And allowing me to play and figure it out, coming up with my own decisions, and just overall allowing me, not always, stepping in every time, I'm about to open my mouth, So, and also, like I said, being helpful and not condescending when I'm, asking a question that I don't know, So yeah, I think not having a superiority complex definitely helps.
And I agree with. Oh, by the way, your mic is wrong. Here, there we go. Oh, I was just showing you how to properly use a mic. No.
I thought Kyle was just going to go to hold your hand when you said you didn't need someone to hold your hand.
I mean, I was going to do that too, but
No, I agree with that. I agree with all that. I think that's kind of like teachers, like the quickest way to have a student, not want to participate in class and raise their hand again is to chastise them for like a question where they just didn't know and they're asking. It's the same thing in like Dungeons and Dragons. You're like, hey guys, am I allowed to do this? And you're like, you idiot. Like, of course, it's your turn. Go,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
actually, I had that kind of happen to me the first time I was learning how to play. So, that I'll save that because, I think we're going to go into some of that stuff later, but, so let's move on to the next question, which is, what is your biggest red flags when it comes to a player? Like, what's something that tells you this is someone you probably can't play with, no matter your relationship with them outside of the game? Because, I mean, I get along with a lot of people outside of game, but there's probably a handful of people I can actually play with.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go first if that's okay. Mine is, it's when one player is dominating, like they're dominating decision making and overall like time spent talking, where it's always them interjecting and it's on their turn. They're like talking for like 5 minutes about what the cool stuff they're doing and how they're going to do this and how they're going to do that. And it becomes about, me. And they're like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And no, I have the idea. We should go with my idea. And it just becomes like they're the leader and the rest of the party is with them, instead of it being like, hey, we're all in this together. Because there can be in different parties like someone who's like more of the ideas person, but it's still collaborative. It's when it becomes like, hey, no, it's my way, that it really irritates the heck out of me.
Yeah. Someone just dictating the game and all.
Mm-hmm.
I get you there. What about you, Rick?
It's the red flag is the obnoxious, like, know-it-all.
Yeah. Why'd you look at me?
Particularly, it's like, it's a personality trait that I sometimes myself have, but it's the actually person. Like, someone says, oh, I want to do this, and someone interjects immediately, like, actually, this, and could be the DM, could be just another player. But it's the person who knows too much for their own good and is unwilling to let the party play out. Like they have, like you said, like they have to interject. It has to be about them. People have to know that they know the answer, which is super.
I'm sweating over here.
It's
a little
good
bit.
for me because there are certain topics that is 100% me.
Yeah.
Like 100% me. D&D is not one of those. Like I'm able to, and I'm still new enough of a player that I'm not at that level. Now, if we were talking about, like, I don't know, sports statistics or history of sports or flags or other things that I'm like way too interested and heavily focused on, I become that actually person. But luckily in D&D, I am not that person.
That's fair. It's like a combination. When I hear the actually kind of stuff, it's also like the one-upper.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
where I know a lot of us here could easily become one-uppers for different things, and I have been many times.
I was gonna say, I think a
And
lot
you-
of us were at
Yeah.
one point.
And you hold it back now because you're like, oh, well, two things. One, it's nice to listen to others. And two, you're like, some of the times where you were a one-upper and you think back, you're like, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Like, maybe I need to, like, listen more.
I do find it interesting. It does feel like a lot of rule lawyers also tend to be one-uppers. And I'm not sure what the correlation is there. That's something Dr. RPG will have to look up later.
No, I've found that out more than you.
Oh.
Actually, statistics say no.
Well, it's also cool what you guys are saying. Like going back to that earlier topic about Jeremy, you having those really poor rolls on the boss fights. Like someone that would be a red flag, is someone who couldn't turn that into a positive or fun experience for the group. Like that was something I was really appreciated playing with you guys, that when like just can't roll anything, it's just ones, like you guys are able to change it, and like it becomes part of the story, and someone who doesn't who almost more treats it like a video game, like like, oh, like I gotta be max out all my stats and all this, but
Load the quick save.
Yeah.
exactly. And so I would say some like a red flag is someone who who takes those moments and like takes it personally, and then like you said, everything that you guys said kind of starts taking it out on the group.
Did you have any other red flag ones while we're on you?
I mean, it's pretty much what you guys said, just like players who refuse to be flexible, that main character syndrome. Just someone who isn't trying to uplift and get everyone involved. So you guys kind of hit on
Okay, yeah.
everything else.
What about you, Chris?
Me, oh my gosh, this one I'm most excited to share.
Ooh, spill
I
the
was
tea.
like, I have a feeling I know which one he's excited for. When I showed the questions earlier to everyone, we let the producer take a look and see what he thinks, if he wants to chime in, and he was the first one on the whole thing to jump in on there, like, I'm in.
I just, right before Chris goes, I just have to say, this is how excited Chris was. You guys can't see us, obviously, but when it came to his turn, he was kicking his feet. Like, he's like,
Yeah, you're watching a grown man do like the little toddler do with excitement.
Oh my gosh. So one thing I despise in other players, or it doesn't even have to be necessarily players, it's people watching, is backseat gamers.
Yeah,
That irritates me so much because like it's like having your wife or your mother-in-law or something in the back seat while you're driving and they're telling you, oh, you're going too fast, you're not doing this right, you should do this instead. Oh my gosh.
I can tell this hasn't personally happened.
No,
to
this
you.
is, oh my gosh. So they're just always telling me, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you can't do this, you can do this. I'm like, okay, first off, it's not your job to tell me what I can and cannot do. That's the DM who is allowed to tell me what I can't do.
Yeah.
So if you're not in that position, I don't want to hear it.
ooh, burn. Love it.
So
Hot takes with producer
Right.
Christopher.
it's like that's especially with like new players like myself trying to learn, and that just completely throws me off, and it's very frustrating.
Well, and that actually leads right into what my red flag is that person who plays for everyone else, that they jump the gun and they start telling Jeremy, hey, you need to do this because that's going to be most convenient for me. And it's not like a recommendation. They flat out ignore the plan half the time that Jeremy, Rick, and Treven and I were thinking of, and all of a sudden they're telling Jeremy to do something off the wall that's like, do this and this and this, and it's like, hold on, the DM just pointed at Jeremy. It's his turn. Let him first figure out what he's got going on. And then if he asks for any suggestions, feel free. But I mean, I cannot stand working with someone who takes up the entire time on there, tries to rush through other people's turns to get to theirs where they are not ready for their turn. That's a huge one for me. And again, just kind of like Chris said, where they backseat play for others, because usually then if you don't do what they're wanting to do, they for some reason always put down that person when it's like it worked just fine.
Or if you were planning on doing that thing already, it just feels less cool now because they told you to do it and you're like, no, that was I was going to do it. My plan was to sneak around the back and to stab the guy.
Well, it's like when somebody tells you, you know, like you're about to take out the garbage or do the dishes and somebody says, hey, go take out the garbage or do the dishes. Now you don't want to.
Not our wives. We love all of our wives.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
Here at Tabletop Talk, we don't want to be dead men.
We want to be back for next week's episode. So yes, we love all of our wives.
I love
all
you.
Of our,
love you, honey.
all of our duties without prompting.
And the only other thing that could tell me what to do is the dice. And that seems to be more for me than actual Kyle DMing me.
I was going to say, I think the dice give Chris more limitations than I ever have as a DM. And all.
It's like, oh, I want to do
you
this.
You can do anything, buddy. Rolls a 1, except that.
You can't hit the enemy, but you can hit your teammate. On that nat 1. Congratulations.
Remember when you were mad that Treven accidentally shot you? Well, you're shooting him now. It's great.
You're even now.
No, I think those are all really good, and it's really tough to play with a group in D&D for a long time. Like that already is a tough thing.
Yeah.
And then if you add one player, it's a small party, one player who has these red flags, it can sometimes make it miserable, but you feel obligated to go, and then all of a sudden you're doing like a chore instead of a game. And I hate that feeling. I've been in parties where all of a sudden I spent like 6 months of the year dreading the day, and just anytime it got canceled because of scheduling conflicts, I was like, thank goodness. I hate that feeling. It's so weird and it's so rough.
Well, and the thing I have a hard time with is I've looked at with each game I've played, it's usually been my group of friends and all. So usually I'm not like the outsider when I'm playing a game. However, that makes it almost harder for me when any of my friends end up acting in that way, because now I'm getting mad at them in game, but it's like out of game, we're fine. But what's the right thing to do in that situation?
Yeah. Yeah, which we did. Did we talk about how to handle a problem player?
We did not. We talked a little bit about it in the last episode. We talked about just when players aren't doing what you kind of need them to do. As a DM, what do you do? But, you know, we've got like a few minutes here. I mean, does anyone have any advice on how they think you should handle a red flag player?
Murder.
Absolutely. I second that.
And by murder, he means definitely the black mana card from Magic that costs only like
one colorless, one colorless,
black
2
mana.
black. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about a murder of crows.
Yep, that too.
You send a murder of crows to their house.
No, I mean, sounds about right.
That's arguably worse.
That's the side novel in Game of Thrones, right?
I was gonna say
The novella.
yes, a Feast of Crows.
Yeah.
No, I think one of the first things for even in one of our games, Kyle, was you talked to me and you talked to other players. I think that's, if you're the DM, I think talking to the other players to see their perspective is great, because some of them are like, oh, I don't care, it's just fun, right? And you might be surprised. It might just be something that's irritating you, but also it's good to get other people's perspective because it can solidify how you feel. And the same as a player, you can ask your DM. Every player, you are allowed to talk to your DMs outside of the game to ask them like, hey, when the other player was doing this, it made me feel like that. And I think that would be gigantic for that DM.
I think honestly, like your DM wants you to talk to them if there's a problem, because the DM usually is friends with the most people in the group, more often than not. And I feel like it is kind of the DM's job. So I know in my games, I first talk to other players, see if I'm just maybe misreading a situation, or maybe it's not a problem and I'm just making it a problem. So I would talk to Jeremy and I would ask other players, is this kind of behavior from this player bothering you? Because it's bothering me, but I don't know if I'm just taking something personal that I'm misreading, or is it something that other players are witnessing too? And all. So I usually find talking to them is the best thing. I do apologize. Our studio pug is currently barking.
I think he was given an opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Odin. You've been the red flag player every game you've played.
He does breathe very heavily on my neck, the back of my neck.
He's not
And
considerate about other players' personal space.
That honestly just made my shoulders go up. Just thinking about it, I instinctually just was like, ugh.
I will say the only time I've ever had to deal with a red flag type player, I did so very unhelpfully. The rest of the party, we all met outside of the campaign and decided that we were just going to sabotage everything that he did without telling him or the DM. So it just looked like things had broken down, and he eventually left, like didn't stop playing with us completely. But we were like, okay, cool, he's gone. But like it was really
Rick just
bad.
mean girled him out.
100% we burn booked him. It was great. Not great, but he was just not fun to play with.
Well, guys, thank you for coming out. It looks like we're about up on time. So thank you guys for tuning in to Tabletop Talk. If you're looking for more content like this, make sure you check out our TikTok and our YouTube channels, TabletopTV. Same idea, same logo and such. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next week. Love you all, and peace.
I was just wondering if you can hear me breathing when I have my face in the mic.
Hello, everybody. This is your producer, Chris, and I just want to take a minute to remind you to follow us on wherever you are listening to this podcast on, and to go check out our other episodes if you haven't already. Also, check us out on YouTube at TabletopTV, hyphen between table and top. We have a few videos up now, but go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you are notified whenever we upload. Also, follow us on X at TTTalkPod and let us know what you think of an episode you just listened to, or give us topics you'd like us to cover, or to even voice your own opinion on a topic we have already discussed. Whatever it is, we will feature you on a future episode. Also, follow us on TikTok as well. We will be posting more there too. So thank you guys. Tell your friends and family. Make sure they listen and follow us. Keep supporting. We're hoping this is something that we can continue doing, and we can't do it without your support. So thank you, and we'll see you at the table.